Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from Ncaa, and welcome back to the Rivercats Dynasty as we recap Season 6 here in this episode. And what a magical run it was, to be honest. I mean, man, did we just dominate those last two games of the season? We had 426 yards in the national championship, and honestly, like, we didn't even have a big passing day. 267, and you know, our guy Hollinson did his thing. JT Lott isn't a bad quarterback. He's gonna be their future, but I mean, just what we did efficiency wise, I mean, we were just dominant on offense and defense. 14-19 for Carmichael, and Hollinson finishes off his career. He announced he's going to the NFL, so you will see him in the Jets franchise. That will be in the Season 3 draft class, so watch out for that one. That class is going to be loaded. I mean, absolutely loaded at running back. 3 touchdowns for him. It was a great season for Hollinson and bringing home that Heisman Trophy win. Let's just look at that really quick, and let's just look at the voting, because he won by kind of a landslide. And I know that Phil Wade was up here for all the year because Clemson was the #1 team, but I mean, quite honestly, let's see what he finished with. So he finished with 34 touchdowns, 1,700 yards, a 5.6 yard per carry average, 121 rushing yards a game, 9 rushes over 20 yards. I mean, that is just dominant. And I wanted to see who was second. Todd Lee. I never played against him, so I have no idea, but it looks like he was a 3-year starter. Wow, he had a huge year. 42 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I think I'm going to put him over in the Jets franchise as well, because it looks like he's really good. He is 96 overall. How did Ohio State finish? I'm wondering how they didn't get to the national championship. Christian Gray is 3rd. David Owens, quarterback of Kentucky, is 4th. And then Bonner, with that horrible game, is 5th. So how did the rest of the teams do? Florida ended up beating Baylor, and they beat them down. So remember Joel Coles from Florida? He was their quarterback. He is a senior as well. Let's see what he did in this game. Wow, 13 of 24, 6 touchdowns. I mean, that is just dominant right there. And then Phil Wade loses in the Orange Bowl to UCF. So UCF loses to USF late in the season, does not go to their conference championship, and they bounce back and defeat Phil Wade. Wow, I see why. Phil Wade was hurt, so he did not even play in this game at all. Could that have been a reason why Clemson lost? And maybe it was. It looks like Utah and Texas went to a battle, and it looks like Texas ended up losing to Utah. USF, who did beat UCF, they actually got jumped back. How did they beat UCF and then get jumped in the final standings? UCF finished at 3, USF at 4. Rocky Mountain State ends up winning in the Outback Bowl to Iowa. They blew them out. Alabama beats Ohio State, so that will help Wendell Bentley's draft stock. Let's just see how he did in this game. He had a good bounce back game, 18 of 32, not bad. 307 yards. How did he run the ball? 16 for 56, so not too bad. It looks like Tyrone Fitzpatrick didn't have a big game, though. I'm not sure if he'll go to the NFL after this season. He is actually rated-wise one of the best running backs in the nation. East Gotham had probably one of the worst years they've had in a while. They went 6-6. Wisconsin State ended up finishing ranked. Let's see if there's anybody else up here. Okay, here's Davis Lee. How does he end his college career? Let's just take a look. And oh no. What happened to Davis Lee? He was not in this game. Where is he? We need to check that out. And let's just see if there's other teams here. Yeah, we're going to have to check out Davis Lee. So I'm not exactly sure what happened, but he must have been hurt for that game, because if you look at his stats, he was hurt for a lot of the season. 645 total passing yards. He must have been hurt for the season. It looks like he only made it through a few games and didn't even play. So his final year is done. He will declare for the NFL draft as well. So we'll see him at the next level in Season 3 of that Jets franchise. So what a historic season it was for us. We had one loss, and that was to Florida by 7. Joel Coles got the best of us in that one. And Florida ended up going 10-3, so it wasn't really a bad loss. I mean, it was versus a team that finished in the top 10. And honestly, you know, just looking at our schedule and how we finished, I mean, we put up a ton of points. When we, after that loss, 49, 45, 42, 56, 35, 42, 38, 55. Even with Dunn Carmichael out and Jamal Wilson out, we still put up those big-time numbers. And I think that's my biggest takeaway, is that even when our defensive backs had bad games, which we did have a few bad games in our defensive backfield, our defensive line was dominant. We still found a way to win. All right, so All-Americans, who do we have? So Todd Lee ends up being a first-team unanimous All-American, and J.J. Hollinson does as well. That's no surprise there. Martin Givens, remember him from Western Michigan, coached by Marlon Yarbrough. He is now an All-American receiver, so that was a good season by him. We got to see him once, I believe. J.J. Taylor, first-team All-American. How about that? Double-digit sack season, our first in this series, our first double-digit sack getter. And I am happy as J.J. Taylor. I mean, 7 sacks, 6 sacks, then 10 sacks. He had an amazing career, and I'm going to miss him on the D-line. I don't know how we're going to replace him. Kelly Harrison will have to. He is a guy in waiting. He went through his freshman year. Not too much playing time. Hopefully he doesn't transfer also. He was a 4-star recruit. Brian York, no surprise. To be honest, no surprise. This is his career high in tackles, his career high in tackles for loss, his career high in sacks, tied for his career high in interceptions, career high in pass deflections, and one under his career high in forced fumbles, but his career high in fumble recovers. I mean, this season, I don't know how this compares to Odin Blue, but this season was probably better, and maybe even one of the best seasons I've seen from a middle linebacker. And I keep saying that. I mean, Javon Warren had some good linebacker years when he played for us. Then Brian York takes over. He has a great year. Odin Blue also did. I mean, we're going to see our linebackers in the NFL. It's going to be crazy. I mean, I'm ecstatic for Brian York, though. I mean, is this his first award? I guess it is. I mean, this year's his first year winning awards. He's been an awesome guy for us, and he's a captain on this defense. We're going to miss him. Trey Frazier wins first-team All-American returner. So Phil Wade does win second team at quarterback. Bonner wins it second team at running back. We shut him down. How about Dominique Edwards with the second-team All-American bid? And honestly, let's just look at his stats around everybody else. He had 23 tackles, 6 sacks, 8 for loss. I mean, that's a decent season. I don't know if it's second team. Let's just look at the other right end here. And, well, I guess it is, because more sacks, less tackles for loss, but still pretty comparable, to be honest. And maybe it was just the forced fumbles, too, at 3. He had 3 forced fumbles. Yeah, I mean, that may have put him over the top. Just looking at the other guys around him, yeah, I mean, all these other guys have 0 forced fumbles, 0 forced fumbles. I mean, that was a good defensive year for Dominique Edwards. Well-deserved. How about this? The shock, though. Dylan D Roberto getting second-team All-American after a 3-interception season. Actually, this was 2 interceptions, because before this team was announced, or when this team was announced, this was before the national championship. 3 interceptions, 7 pass deflections, actually a lot. I haven't seen that stat record wrong, so I'm surprised to see it that high. And 36 tackles. I mean, congratulations to him. Remember, Brenton Jackson was supposed to be a preseason All-American. We do have 2 freshman All-Americans, too. Latrell Hopkins gets it. And let's just look at his season. He had 36 tackles, interception. Not, you know, a crazy season. I think he deserved freshman All-American at least. And then Isaiah Da Silva. I mean, the guy was good. He was our best punter, and he was also our kicker. He went 10 for 10, hit a 52-yarder. I'm pretty sure that is tied for the career long for a Rivercat kicker. He was good. All-SEC, JJ wins it. Zane Storm is an All-American or All-SEC getter, first-teamer. And 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, a very good season from him. 87 yards was his longest reception this year. Yards after the catch, 397. I expect a big hike in this number as long as he and Dunn Carmichael stay healthy. And then we sweep the defensive line. Edwards, Neal, and Taylor all get it. Dominique Edwards, he could declare for the NFL draft next year if he has a big year. We'll see what the scouts say. And Jermaine Neal will be a senior next year. He had a good season. How did he not get All-American? Maybe it was that forced fumbles there. 8 sacks, 12 for loss, 19 tackles. Very, very good. Osiris Hovick, he gets All-SEC. He had a good year. 7 sacks, 14 for loss. And I thought he was going to be an All-American. And then York and D Roberto also get it. Award winners. Let's just stop on the awards that our team wins. It looks like Phil Wade still won a couple awards, even though he wasn't on the Heisman list. That's pretty interesting. Bednarik goes to Brian York. We saw that a little bit earlier. Phil Wade, he wins 3 awards. And then the Doak Walker goes to J.J. Hollinson. I just want to look at who was next up in touchdowns. Was it Bronner? I mean, he had 19. I'm just trying to see somebody who's even close. I don't think anybody's close to Hollinson's 34. Believe it or not, Barry Sanders' record is 37, and Hollinson was only 3 short of breaking. At least not breaking it, at least tying it. Best linebacker goes to Brian York. Let's see if anybody else won anything. The guy, De Silva was in second place. Maybe because he didn't have many punts. I mean, he had 6 punts the entire season. That's how dominant we were on offense. 6 punts. Can you believe that? I mean, Mississippi had 39. That is insane. And then Trey Frazier wins best returner. I don't put much weight into best returner because it's such an easy award to win. Now let's look at our season stats here. And quite honestly, Dunn Carmichael missed the entire season and almost finished with the highest passing yards. Featherstone barely itched him out. But Featherstone, I mean, I'm seeing transfer in Featherstone and maybe Donovan Nash. But I definitely see it in Jamal Wilson's future because he wants an opportunity to start in his senior year. He's going to go into the transfer portal. I'm pretty sure he's going to get immediate eligibility because he was injured. So I think that I don't know where he'll go. Honestly, how good of a fit would maybe Ole Miss or Texas A&M be running that triple option? Jamal Wilson running that? I mean, that is a perfect fit for him. Featherstone, I don't know. I mean, he's going to have to go to maybe a pro-style offense. And I'm thinking more of like an offense like Stanford, who's going to hand the ball off quite a bit, work off play action. That's the type of quarterback he is. And I do give ratings boost based on the scheme fit. So if, say, if Featherstone goes to Texas A&M, they run a triple option, he won't get the attribute boost. But if he goes to Stanford, for example, like I just brought up, or a Wisconsin that runs the ball, he will get the boost because that fits him and it gives him that ratings boost. But Carmichael, he had a good year. 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions when he did play. I'm looking for a big year from him. Nash was just turnover prone, and that's why I switched back to Featherstone when we got later in the season. And Featherstone did a good job, and I think he may have opened the door for other teams to recruit him and kind of have an open recruitment there. Now, running the ball, and it was really a two-headed monster in Joe Bashai and J.J. Hollinson this year. 34 touchdowns for Hollinson. He pretty much hogged it up. And Bashai, I mean, he does have a chance to start next year, but I still see him as kind of a spell back, a guy that's going to back up. And it's not that I don't like him. I really do like him. I like him quite a bit, but I think he fits more, you know, in passing situations. I don't see him as an every down back, but he was very good when he filled in. He had 349 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, and his longest run was 25 yards, 90 yards after contact, which is pretty good. We did have a couple of reverses to Zane Storm and a couple of option plays as well. Donovan Nash ran for a touchdown. Jamal Wilson, Carmichael ran for 2. TC3 ran for 1. I believe that was in the SEC championship. And then Drakken ran for 1 running the option. Now let's look at our receivers. 1,000-yard season for Zane Storm. We highlighted that earlier. He was amazing. I'm expecting a big year out of him. Now, Chris Whiteside, did he have a step down from last year? Yeah, he kind of did as far as yardage goes. Same number of touchdowns, but 4 more receptions and then less yards. So I would say that's kind of the same, to be honest. I mean, I think he took a backseat just because Dunn Carmichael was hurt. I think that definitely hurt the passing game. But how about Stephen Ford? I got to give it up to his career. He's just been Mr. Steady on the outside. He will try at the NFL. I'm not really sure if he will make it, but he had 2 touchdowns. He was just a good player. I mean, he was just solid. Only 3 drop passes in the last 3 years each year, and ends up being 10 total. I mean, I guess that's pretty good production. Edelman in the slot, he came over from JUCO, 4 touchdowns. I mean, not bad at all. And looking at him, I don't know why it says best returner here. It might be a glitch in the game, but he was a decent slot receiver. I think he only had 1 drop pass. Yeah, he only had 1 the entire season, so great effort by him. Ethan Andrews in his senior year, he had 3 touchdowns, and he didn't have, you know, an awesome career as far as stat-wise, but I still think he's capable of playing at the NFL level. I think he's a late round selection. Maybe I'm thinking 6 or 7. He will have to fight for a roster spot, but I think that he can do some things that a lot of guys can't do. How about J.J. Hollinson, though? I mean, I just want to look at his catching rating really quick. It's less than 40, actually. That's the lowest it goes on this screen. It's like 16, and he had 19 catches, a touchdown. I'm pretty sure his rating catching going into Madden will be a whole lot better because he proved that he could catch the ball this year. How about Joe Bashai, too? I mean, he was good out of the backfield, a great pass catching back. Eric Klug in his final season. Yeah, he didn't have the big career that, you know, we were hoping that he would have, but he was steady and he was a good, solid option. He played fullback a lot in his senior year. And then the last guy's Malik Tyree, got some catches. Isaiah Thomas, who had a better year last year, it looks like he's going into his senior year as well. He didn't have any touchdowns. He only had 2 receptions the entire year. TC3 switched over to running back. He didn't have many receptions as well. Now, I want to talk about some guys that could declare for the NFL draft. And I don't look at overall. I look at production when I do this. And I look at Ryan Mathis. I mean, he had a massive season. And the reason why is because ever since he's been in at starter, J.J. Hollinson has run wild. I mean, that is a direct correlation to J.J. Hollinson's success. He will be a very good offensive guard at the NFL level. I would be sad if he left, but we'll have to see. Robert Price had a decent year. He was a freshman left guard. He did decent. Sully Lowenberg was a pretty good center. I think he's probably going to stick around. Colton Hollywood at left tackle. And so I think the only guy that we could possibly lose here is our right guard in Ryan Mathis because he was pretty good. Carter Garrison actually played some tackle. He is listed as a tight end. He played tackle. But Christian Curatolo played at right tackle, and he gave up 7 sacks. He's not an overly impressive guy. He's just good enough right now. We definitely need to improve as far as right tackle goes, but he did decent for what he was given. I'm not too mad at the season that he had. Looking at defense, Brian York, I mean, he was just amazing. That is the best. This could be the best season. Now that I think about it, 20 tackles for loss is unheard of. And seeing that from a user team, it's just crazy. 4 interceptions as well. I mean, he went absolutely crazy. Now, Jacob Drakken, how about that? You know, one thing about being a national championship team is that you start to get noticed by NFL scouts, even if you're kind of undershadowed. And Jacob Drakken had quietly a very, very good season. He was a good tackling safety. He played up in the box. He played in coverage. He had 0 interceptions, but he made big plays. He just made the big tackles, and he was there when he needed to be. He actually has great hands, so if the play's there, he'll make it, but it just hasn't been there. I'm excited for him in his senior year. I don't even know like what type of year he's going to have, especially at safety. I'm hoping he has a big one. Now, Dylan D Roberto, he had a good season, but, you know, I think that he had good games. Like, he got burnt quite a bit in that Alabama game, and those are the games where he's got to show up. And, yes, he did have a turnover in his last 2 games, but he's got to be better just a little bit. I think that he will have a big season next year. There's no doubt in my mind, to be honest. Josiah Caesar, how about him? In his first year starting, he had a pretty good season, 10 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and he showed what he can do playing next to Ryan Braun, but Jake Braun. We're going to get to him a little later. Latrell Hopkins, how about him? Freshman All-American. We already highlighted him. Brenton Jackson, you know, he kind of had a down year to me. He had 3 interceptions in his first year, only 1 this year, and they actually threw to his side a little bit, not a whole lot, but when they did throw to his side, it didn't seem like he was making too many plays. But how about Osiris Hovick in the year that he had? One more year like that, he's in the NFL. 31 tackles, 14 for loss, 7 sacks. He will be NFL eligible after next season, so we'll have to see what he can do. Now, Bamaya plays really good in the nickel. I'm not going to move him from the nickel anymore because I tried him on the outside and it didn't seem to work. And then when I moved him back inside, he played extremely well. So he will play there next season. Dominique Edwards, one more year like that, he's going to the NFL. I mean, he was amazing, and he will be a 3-year starter come next year. I have no idea who's going to be the captain come next season. Jake Braun, great year. I mean, he's just a solid contributor. Hopefully he can make that big step come next year and put his name on NFL radars. JJ Taylor will be, though. He will be I would say within the first 2 rounds, he will be picked, and I'm excited to see him, see what he can do in the next series. Jermaine Neal is interesting. You know, I tried him out his freshman year, and he did not make the impact that I thought. He definitely only had 6 tackles, 3 for loss, and then the next year, he could barely get in the rotation, and he has no stats recorded for last season. But then this year, he had 8 sacks. I mean, I want to see what he can do. Maybe he can even top J.J. Taylor's 10-sack total of this year. Cory McDaniel's in his senior season. He's been solid for us. He's just been a rotational piece all 3 seasons he's been playing, and he's just been good. 31 tackles in his first year starting, and went down this year because of the talent on our roster, but a really good career for him. Now, DJ Derail, we started him on the outside in the beginning of the season, and I don't know about him. I don't know what type of player he's going to be, but he's going to be one of our best man cover corners. He's going to need to be better all around because, honestly, like, there was just some plays where he just got beat, like that play he got benched on where he just let the guy run past him and then kind of jogged. He's got to be better there. Hopefully he cleans that up come next season. And then Jamal Wyatt, we tried him at safety with Latrell Hopkins out. He played decent, but the guy I really liked was Kamari Jamison. When he played, he was good. I need to switch some positions around because Kamari might end up being, yeah, he's probably going to stay at strong safety, but a guy like Garrett Blainsworth, I wanted to play him at free safety, but when you switch positions over, the awareness goes way down. Like, he's a 65 awareness strong safety, but when I switched him over to free safety, it was like 21, so I couldn't play him there. It would have definitely hurt us because he would have been making bonehead plays. I don't know why the game does that, especially for safeties. And then looking at a couple other guys, Josiah McClure, he's still a future guy at middle linebacker. He has a chance to start next year at middle linebacker. He was the backup this year, but he will go into camp battling. And then some other guys here to round it out. It looks like we just have a bunch of offensive players getting tackles, probably from interceptions. I talked about this a little bit, and I do want to reiterate it that Jamal Wilson and Featherstone will likely transfer, so our quarterback room will look a bit different. Now at running back, I don't know what's going to happen. We do have St. Pierre, which we'll go over recruits really quick before hopping into the episode, and then we have Joe Bashai as well. I don't see any receivers transferring unless the game just transfers them. I'm not really sure if that will happen. At tight end, we will look different, though. Carter Garrison and Chance Watkins, I'm excited for those guys. And I don't think anybody else will transfer. Maybe I would say Kelly Harrison. I mean, he's the only guy I could see transferring just because he was a 4-star recruit coming in, and we kind of just didn't play him much, and he didn't have many stats at all. Did he have any? No. He had no recorded stats, and he's a 4-star prospect. Hopefully he stays because I would like to have him as that starter at defensive tackle, and if he doesn't, then I'm going to need to find somebody else to be right beside Jonathan Thousand. Now, our defense won't really change as far as playbook-wise, but our offense will, because remember, we change it every 2 seasons, and this is the 2nd season because remember, we changed it once our offensive coordinator left. Then it's that 2nd season of our current coordinator, so we will be rotating that as well. So we do have a coaching skills tree update, and we do have one upgrade here. And just looking at how our tree looks right now, you know, we have some we still don't have it so that we unlock all of the scouting points. I like it so we only unlock 25% at a time, and I kind of like that. I'm gonna bump that up to 50, but I'm not gonna use this one here because we have a ton of prospects to go after in the offseason, so I need to kind of gain a level here, get more points for the offseason, and it's perfect timing because our recruiting board is still full of prospects. But how about a big change in recruiting for Justice Parrish? Remember, we highlighted him during the season as wanting to play with his brothers, and look at this. He has eliminated East Gotham. And we were actually third on his list, and we weren't even putting any points on him. I don't even know how that's possible. It looks like he could be going to Tulsa State. So I was going to eliminate Tulsa State from the conference. Now I'm not so sure, because I think they finally have their superstar at quarterback now with Justice Parrish. I don't know how good he will be, but I don't know. I have a feeling he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Now, we still do have a couple of guys to still go after. A couple of guys locked us out, actually. Nicholas Vanderham, who has been our #1 recruit all season. It's important to get him. We need this right tackle, and it looks like he's considering M-Stam. M-Stam or us. That's really interesting. Now, Xavier Hawkins locked us out. I am going to unlock this because I think it's just fair. We're going after him. We need to kind of have a chance here. So we are going to unlock him, have a chance. He is going to be probably one of our top corners if we get him. Now, Donovan Jensen. Now, the interesting part about him is that I don't know where he's going to play. Jacob Drakken is there. Behind him is Kamari Jamison. It is Kamari Jamison. I get those two mixed up from the Whitetails series. But he is the #1 strong safety. So do we go after him as hard as what we think we should? I don't know. I think I still will. Spec Myers, I think we need to go after him. You know, I need some competition with Josiah McClure, and Spec Myers is the #1 middle linebacker in the nation, and I'm going to go after him pretty hard. Now, RJ Griffin, we are locked out from him. I don't need him, so I'm not going to unlock the door on him, and I only use that a couple of times during the season if I see fit, but it seems like RJ Griffin isn't headed to us. John Porter is still interested, I believe, and we are second behind Florida. So interesting for that. I'm wondering if he would choose us. But one guy I do want is Chris Brooks. Now, he is an athlete, but he's going to play defense, and he's going to play cornerback more than likely. And I'm wondering how fast that B speed is. I'm hoping that it's higher than a B, but he's a 6-foot cornerback, more than likely 5-star recruit, and that's how we look going into the offseason. Our recruits, we will go over there in the offseason, our commits, and we'll talk about that then. So that will do it here for the national champions. We're going to look a little bit different on both sides of the ball. No Hollinson. Our backup quarterbacks are going to be gone. Jamal Wilson, Featherstone, Brian York's going to be gone. I mean, it's going to be different here for the Rivercats going into Season 7. But I'm excited. The offseason, we have a big one. I'm wondering what's going to happen. What's going to happen with these recruits? Who's going to start next year? It's going to look different. So hit subscribe. Hit that like button. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
Yeah, they filling out these job applications. Life got hard after high school graduation. I went to college and your boy got financial aid. They gave me money, then I went and bought a pair of J's. And I bought a pair of shades. And I bought a new computer. Had $400 left, spent the rest